today? Welcome to my photography live stream where we talk about photography and I answer any questions that I can. Also, on Tuesdays, I like to shop for deals and find anything really uh, sort of too hard to pass up for me anyway. Because as you know, I have terrible gas for all kinds of gear and uh, but, my main goal is really to try and save you some money, particularly if you're, starting out and you don't want to spend a lot of money quite yet on this, on our hobby here. And just want to try some things out. So, for example, like polarizers, ND filters, camera bags, tripods, all these things you really need. These are kind of core essentials to build your photography. But I would say that, you can look at some of the pricing and it's pretty daunting sometimes, right? I mean, $100 for a camera bag or, filter or tripod. But there are some really very good budget alternatives out there uh, to, to get you a decent quality starter tripod, starter filter set, basic camera bag. And, because maybe you've already invested a lot into your camera and lenses. And I do look for deals on cameras and lenses, but those are pretty much fixed, right? Your local camera stores, everything online. If you're looking at new cameras, they are pretty much the same price everywhere. Occasionally, you'll find a good deal, but for lenses and camera bodies, I recommend you buy used or refurbished if you can. Unless you really need or want or can justify buying brand new. And, the new OM3 that's come out, uh, I just want one, and I don't need to wait. I'm in a position I don't really need to wait for it, fortunately, because I have credit card. But, uh, I think it's a fabulous camera, fairly priced, lots of features, and I can't wait to get my own copy. I have this one on loan. I have to send this back, I think, this week or next. I This week, my email I canceled my email service for my rob@robtrek.com. I didn't back up my email first, and as soon as I canceled it, it was gone. Oh, and there was no way to get it back. So I lost years of emails from you guys and from all of the vendors that I deal with. So, if you sent an email over the last few days and I didn't respond, uh, it's very likely I didn't get it because I lost it. So anyhow, there's that, and I did find some really interesting deals today that I want to cover. And I'll just go over those briefly. Um, and I like to let you guys lead the conversation from there. If you have any questions about gear you're thinking about buying, I can probably give you some guidance on that. And because there's all kinds of stuff out there, right? I've probably bought 90% of everything that you'd ever wanna buy for your hobby or even profession, right? So, let me check in who's here. I see Roger's here, good to see you. Jeff, always good to see you, and, Robert, hey, Rob, how are you? And, ATR Bear is here, Steve, Sebastiano, and, Lamb, good to see you. Oh, is my sound okay? Uh, just, give me a mic check again in the chat and let me know. And this side towards screen, good to see you, and thank you, Robert. Sound and video, okay, good. It looks a little dark. Let me just give it a bump, just a third of a stop there. I'm trying a new lighting setup. Uh, so there's like a little bit of a blue tint here and a little bit of warm light onto me instead of having this light here, I thought this I used it actually to help me find stuff in my cabinet. I saw that might look okay. But I don't know. Some of you said it's a little distracting and makes me look like YouTube shill, kinda, I don't know. But I do wanna have a little bit of flair in my stream, much as I can. I mean, I know my production quality is not not great, but it's all about you guys, not me, right? As long as you can see and hear me okay, that's all that really matters. And thank you again for the sound check, Lamb and Jeff. Okay, so let me just show you a couple of deals, and we can move on to a normal photo chat, open questions. Uh, if you're looking for something, might be able to help you find something. And oh, Roger has a question there too. So, anyone have a substitute for the Stingray color combo polarizer? They're expensive. Oh, that's interesting. What is that? Let me look up what that is. Oh, why is my, hold on. My little screen switcher's not on. Let me see if I can get that activated. I have to have my little loop deck. There's always something, isn't there? Let me try this. Its screen's gonna go blank for a second. I'm sorry. Okay, now we're good. uh, so sorry. Now we're good. Okay, so we're looking for the Stingray color combo polarizer. Let's find. These are all used ones. Let's just go to Stingray site directly. So the Stingray color combo control glare and reflection while simultaneously boosting shadow detail, local color contrast with an 8% color saturation of reds, warm tones. This will allow you to capture more information in RAW. So how is that different than, let me look at these pictures. This is with the polarizer. This is without. Obviously I've never tried one of these myself, but I'm not really seeing anything particularly special about this other than it's, beyond what a normal polarizer would do. And as far as saturation goes, that's easy enough done in camera if you're doing JPEG and uh, in post processing. So let me just read a little more. Must carry filter. You'll find improved virtually any indoor blah. The sharpness. It's a polarizing effect. Overcast. This is the part that's a little bit. I mean, local contrast is the same. This part, this increase in color saturation. If anyone has any feedback on this, let me know if you've used this lens filter. Yeah, this is just normal polarizer stuff. So let me show you an example. Let me pull up my I was using a polarizer yesterday, just a generic, not generic, but a basic K and F polarizer. yesterday on water and sky. It's winter, so it's not very dramatic with greens. There's no green, and there's only blue in the sky. The water was brown. uh, and let's see if I see any real difference in blues. I wish there was something I could see in greens. Okay. Because I do have a really good, did find a really good deal on a polarizer this morning. So let me go to this image. Oops. Let me go up in here too. Okay. That this has the reference. Then okay, so this image on the left is without a polarizer. This image on the right is with a polarizer. Let me do two raw side by side. Uh and as you can see, if we punch into the trees, there's definitely more contrast and detail with the polarizer. And this is like a $20 polarizer. And obviously, if we go into the sky, you can see how much more detail or how much more contrast we're getting in the sky as well. Uh, and then let's go into the water. There's there's a little bit of red and green here. Let's see if so. Yeah, I mean it's the exposure looks a little brighter, but yeah, the reds and greens look a little better here. Then the water actually has a little bit more reflection. Again, that's partially due because the exposure looks a little different. What am I? I'm at 1,320 at there. On this one, I'm at 1,640 though, so I'm about a stop difference between these two images. But yeah, and that's all I have. Let me see if there's another one in here. Yeah, I think this one down here. Let me set that as the reference. And then this is with the filter. So here's with the filter, here's without the filter. Again, you can see a pretty dramatic difference. Unfortunately, there's just no reds and greens in the wintertime really to speak of. But I would say right here, there's a little bit of red. Uh, and it looks better. And these are exposed the same. But you can see, yeah, the reds do look a bit richer here. So I think the polarizing effect is what is causing this 8% increase in color. Uh, but I could be wrong, about. But if you look, there's a tiny bit of red here, and there's a little bit less here, and that's because the contrast is stronger. Um, and then, of course, the sky. Obviously, there's a dramatic difference here, and also in the branches and trees. Everything looks a little better. So I would say, really, any quality polarizer Could be a substitute for the Stingray. I don't have a Stingray to test and compare, unfortunately. But I don't see any reason to spend extra for the Stingray in particular in this case. But I can't speak to it directly because I don't have it. Uh, and then buying a photo printer, yes, I will look into that, Keith. And then Mike says it can't actually boost reds and greens. It can filter the blue though. Okay, that's an interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Uh, but the wording on their site is 8% boost, right? If I recall correctly. 8% increase. They're very specific here. 8% increase in color saturation. But I would suspect that's due to the polarizer effect of reducing glare, right? So if you have less glare, more color is going to come through and uh, less glare. So maybe it's one of those, don't buy into the hype so much as, not that Stingray doesn't make fabulous filters, and you don't have to question the quality and resolution that you'll get from a Stingray filter. But before you drop $300, $200 for a used one, I would just try like a more normal price filter. So let me show you a couple that I found today. This I would put right up there with top of the line. This earth filter is oh, and I'm sorry, let me, just go to robtrek.com/deals. There's a link in below, and it'll take you to this page of deals that I find online. So it'll take you to this page, and this filter, the 62 millimeter filter thread is the same for the 12 to 40 Pro lens, which is, common lens for those of you that have Olympus OM system cameras. But they have all the other different ring sizes on sale as well. Not the 67, but a lot of these, like the 72 is $42. Now this is a combination circular polarizer and what's that? Maybe four or five, six stops, right? 2, 4, 8, 16, 30. Yeah, six stops. Six stop uh, ND filter. So this combines two of the most popular filters into one. And I would argue this is really hard to beat, to get this brand, which is, unquestionably very high quality, $38. Now, if you don't need the six stops of light reduction, then just get a polarizer all by itself. A polarizer by itself would be just fine to give you the same effect, I think, as the Stingray might. So if we look at this one here, oh, that's a CPL with an ND8. So this is a generic brand, right? Newer, or yeah, newer. And the 58 millimeter ring size is on sale. And this is also a very common filter size for micro four third lenses that you could use this, like the 40 to 150 kit lens, the 75 millimeter f1.8, and probably some others. The 35 to 100 Panasonic f2.8. And they say true color CPL with ND8. So this is a three-stop ND filter and polarizer combined for $13. And I bought this not I haven't bought this, but I've used this filter before with a Canon R5 Mark II. My friend has one, and I told her to buy this, and we shot with it, and the image quality is perfect. You really can't tell any difference with this filter on or off with respect to the uh, resolution, right? I pixel peeped it and I didn't see any degradation in image quality. I didn't notice any unnecessary glare or addition of glare, so the coatings on this are very good. And it's providing the functionality of a CPL and a three-stop ND filter at once. So I would recommend this because a typical CPL by itself is going to reduce 1.5 to 2 stops anyway. So you're really only adding one more stop of light reduction here, which may or may not be desirable. For the most part, I'd say it's negligible for most applications that you would use a CPL because circular polarizers you're going to use mostly in the daytime when there's sun, and dropping the shutter speed down by another stop, it doesn't matter. If anything, it's beneficial because you can open up your lens wider, maybe to f2.8, f4, rather than having to stop down to f5.6 or f8 in bright sunlight, just to keep your shutter speeds, manageable. Because it depends what your maximum shutter speed is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a filter I can recommend. Uh, and then there's this one here I just kind of threw in. If you're thinking about experimenting with these sort of soft diffusion type filters, they're really used a lot in video, but I found that I wish I'd used this at my last event where I did a lot of portraits, people standing in front of a Christmas tree, because I had to lower the micro contrast on every image so you didn't see every single frickin' pore in their skin, right? They were basically headshots, a lot of them. So this, and it would have reduced some of the shine on their face because they were all wearing makeup, a lot of the ladies. Uh, and if I had put this filter on for all of those portraits, I would have done probably a little less work in post processing, lowering contrast, and sometimes our lenses are so sharp, they're so clinical. You don't you don't always want it that sharp, especially for portraits. So for $11.59, you can experiment with diffusion filter. And if you don't like it, you're only out $11. And if you don't like it within 30 days, you can return it, right? That's one of the great things about Amazon. They have a very liberal return policy. So right now, the 62 millimeter ring is on sale. That's again for the 12 to 40 Pro lens. And I tried it, and at first I didn't notice much difference, but it's very, very subtle. This 1/4 diffusion. I have a 1/4 diffusion filter. It's very subtle, but that's really all you need to kind of just mask the pores a little bit. You don't see the pores like when you're looking at the shot normally, but people are going to punch in and zoom in on their own pictures. And this just softens those very fine wrinkles and pores in the skin when they're pixel peeping or they're zooming in and doing large prints, those kinds of things. And I think this could have made a big difference in my processing. Okay. Tabletop tripod. This one here, these are typically going 40, $50 all the time. And this one is now $29. This is a good deal. So if you've been thinking about a little tabletop tripod, uh, you're not going to get one cheaper than this, of this quality. Now, the only downside to this tripod is I'm not a fan of this kind of leg where it untwists at the bottom and you pull it. I think on a small tripod like this, it's fine. On larger tripods, it was okay, but I found that if I'm using the twist type legs like this, sometimes they get loose in the field and your tripod starts to droop and you have to pick up the tripod and tighten them again. But on a little tabletop tripod like this, it's perfectly fine. Comes with a decent ball head. It's nice and compact, and it's great for doing like close-up photography, macro photography of like mushrooms on the ground or bugs or whatever. Uh, so you don't have to carry a whole tripod. You can just bring this because when you go out for your photo shoots, you go out with a purpose. You can bring minimal gear. You don't have to bring everything. You can bring your camera, macro lens, and a tripod and a small light, and just focus on doing that kind of photography. And it makes things a lot easier. The the challenge a lot of people run into is they're not sure what they're going to be shooting, and they just bring everything. And I get that. You get the big backpack, you put everything in, and then whatever inspires you on the scene, you start shooting. Right? Could be a flower, a mushroom, could be a landscape, whatever. You don't know what you're going to do, and that's fine. But sometimes, if you want to go out and practice one thing, or you want to go out and focus on one thing, so like there's certain times of the year when mushrooms are prevalent in my area at this one particular park. That park offers birding, seascapes, woodland photography. There's railroad tracks there. It has everything. But, deer, there, but some days, there's some times of the year where the mushrooms are very prevalent. And I will go there and just bring a very small setup like this, small tripod, macro lens, and camera and a light, either a flash or an LED, whatever strikes my fancy that day. And then you can go out with very minimal gear and really concentrate and do the very best you can for a specific type of photography. So, for $29, this is a nice tool to have that you take out once in a while. It's not something you'd probably use every day, but it's a nice tool to have, and it's not expensive for what it does. Okay. And then, of course, memory cards. This deal is hard to beat. You will not find a V60 card uh, at this price in any other brand. This is a quality brand, PNY. I've been promoting this every time it goes on sale like this. I promote it. And if we look at the history chart, you can see it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But right now, it hasn't been this price since December. So it's been a couple of months. So now is the time to get this card again. And you can see I just bought one February 3rd. I bought another one because I'm going to buy the OM3, and this is going to be the card I'm going to use in it. Uh, there's that. And then let's see. This is an interesting deal. You get this little widget thing here that lets you invert or have basically an articulating, not articulating, but you can put your tripod horizontally. So what's confusing me though a little bit is they have a round hole in this unit, right? But if you look at the tripod itself, the center column is kind of triangular. I don't know if there's a mix match here in the product. The other thing with this tripod, and this is to help to make it more compact, I just talked about this. This has the twist lock legs. So while it is easier to open the tripod and extend it very quickly and etc., if you're constantly moving the tripod spot to spot to spot, I found that the twist locks work themselves loose. So you have to be conscious of tightening them up time to time so that they don't get loose. But what interested me about this, if this works or not, it doesn't matter because the tripod is 50 bucks and they're just kind of throwing in this part for free. But what interested me about this tripod was the ball head. The ball head is inverted, right? So this makes it really good for doing panoramas. Also, the top part of the ball head can be rotated 360 degrees. So again, it's a panoramic leveling ball head. So this is very, very useful for doing panoramas. The only thing I don't like about the ball head is the plate. The plate is Arca Swiss, but it's limited to a certain size. You cannot use a larger Arca Swiss plate than the one shown here. You can use smaller ones, but not larger ones. So there is that limitation there. But this has a lot of versatility to it for 50 bucks, and it comes with that little accessory, which is basically thrown in for free. What do they call it? A multifunctional extension bracket or rack. Like I said, I don't know how that's gonna work with a triangular center column when this thing has a round hole. Yeah, I don't get that. I guess you would use this to tighten it down, and then you'll be okay. So I'm sure it'll work. Otherwise, why would they include it? But it's just a little bit awkward. Then there's some, quarter 20 holes and stuff all the way around. But yeah, 50 bucks. So I think this offers some versatility, and it's definitely worth uh, looking at as a budget tripod, because this is really normally $100 tripod. If you look at the price history, this has never been half price. More than half price. It's like 60% off, right? Or 55% off. So I like that. And uh this is a little fanny pack, right? It's very small. I mean, it's not tiny, but it's perfect for like your everyday camera and a small lens. And what I would do with it, I probably wouldn't carry my camera in here. I'd probably carry a couple extra lenses, memory cards, maybe a flash and accessories, and a fanny pack. That's how I would use it, even though it can be used as a shoulder bag, a sling bag, whatever. I would use this more like as a fanny pack, as displayed here. Carry some extra lenses and things. But yeah, $3.50. You know, I don't know, or I don't know. It's just a bag, and it's got dividers. It's got memory card holders. Uh, all kinds of stuff in here. So I don't know. I think I'll just buy this for 350. It's half the price of a dozen eggs. Let me put it that way. It's not expensive, and I'll get it tomorrow. And then here's a couple other interesting bags and stuff that you can look at. And this is my favorite bag. It's $31, but you don't want to spend $31. You can get like this one for 10 or 12. What is this? 12.99. It's a pretty decent little bag. It's a tiny bit smaller than the K&F bag I just showed you, but it'll probably hold about the same amount of stuff. But yeah, 12.99. That's a good deal. Okay, so this came in. I bought this. I paid $15 for it, but $20 is still a good deal for this. Uh, so it's here. So it's not super powerful. So that's good in the sense that you don't have to worry about it damaging your gear so much or damaging something because it's just blowing it too hard. My other blower is pretty strong, so I have to be a little bit conscious of what I'm using, like if I'm blowing it on my sensor or whatever parts that might be a little bit sensitive to high pressure air. But it works as a vacuum and as a blower. If you want to use the blower, it's on the back here, and it comes with it's USB-C chargeable, so it's cordless, and it comes with these accessories. So there's a long one here, and there's a shorter one. There's a little nub in here, right? Where's this? This is the one that I use, though. Yeah, I use this one here. You just pop it on the back, and then you have a blower, and you can blow out this end a fairly high compressed air this way. This side is the vacuum part. So this is just purely vacuum, but you would attach this accessory, and then you get a little bit of a brush here on the end. And this is perfect. Just enough suction to pull out, small debris and stuff from your keyboard, around the dials on your camera, uh, the fans on your laptop or computer, desktop. It's perfect, perfect. And then it comes with an extra filter when this one wears out. This one will probably last you a few years. You just wash them, and it's bagless. So what you would do is, dump it out like this, put the filter back in, clean the filter. That's the messy part about these bagless vacuums. But it's better than buying bags, right? Just dealing with that. But anyhow, I like this. So 20 bucks for this. That's a good deal. And it's very, very useful. You're going to use this all the time. I use it a lot to clean the fans on my laptop to keep it functioning properly. To keep it running cool. Because I had an incident where my laptop kept crashing, and that's because the fans got clogged and it started overheating, and then I started getting like runtime errors and stuff, and I cleaned everything out, and then it's been fine ever since. So this is very, 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 very useful for everything. Um, it's not really powerful enough to like use in your car. Maybe around you know, the knobs on your radio and stuff. But this is not a car vac. This is strictly for like using in your office and cleaning your gear and laptops and stuff. So that's that. This is good. For 20, I was gonna buy it for $20, but then when I went to go purchase it, it was on sale for another $5 off. So I said, "Oh, good deal, right?" I was happy to get that. All right, and I'm gonna do one last check here. Yeah, that's all I wanted to highlight today. So let me get to the chat. I think I saw a question here. Uh, Imagine Rob's show with Robin's input instead of "Let's do this." Rob would be "Let's buy." Yeah. And Bird is here. Hello, Bird. And Adam, good to see you. And oh, snow day. Yeah. You must be a little south of me. We were supposed to get like 8 to 10 inches of snow or something, and then the prediction changed to just flurries. Now we're not going to get any. I'm a little disappointed because we had about 8 inches of snow last week, and then it melted the next day. It was gone because it was like 50 degrees out or something. But I didn't go out because I was being a wimp. I just didn't want to go out. So I was looking forward to getting snow again this week. So I would actually go out and take some pictures, right? And now it's just going to be flurries. So that might be it. I didn't go out really take pictures in the snow at all this year. Uh, and we actually had snow like 3 times. I didn't get many snow pictures, if any. I can't recall any off the top of my head. Let's see. Adam says the polarizer makes a great difference seeing what's in the water. I use it for my son at his swim meets. It accomplished something can't be replicated in edits. Yeah, polarizers have so many uses. I really like it for landscapes, and just bringing that deep blue, rich sky, giving me more contrast, like in the woodlands. It's really great on when you got wet leaves and flowers, like you got this beautiful flower with some wet leaves around it. It really brings that out. Uh, So polarizers are great, and I can recommend any of the ones on that page. I can recommend. They're budget friendly. They do the job. You know, if you want, you can go and spend $100 on a B&W. Excellent filter. I have one. Or you can get the Stingray, spend $300 or 200 for a used one. But I like to try to focus on budget gear that will do the job without much fuss, right? And I think any of the things I'm recommending here, and granted, a lot of the stuff I recommend is sight unseen. It's not something that I've used directly myself. I do buy a lot of things I recommend, but not everything. But I have a good feel for all these generic products, right? I can look at them and say, okay, this one looks okay. I think there was a printer question though. From Keith. Yes, I'm sorry, Keith. Let me get to your question here. Morning all. Any advice about buying a photo printer for use at home? Do you print? I'm missing, not holding paper prints. So you need to think about print size, right? First of all, what size print do you want? Are you happy with like 8.5 by 11, like letter size prints? Do you want the next step up is like 13 by 9? Or I'm sorry, well, if you can do letter size, you can do legal size, 11 by 17. That may be enough. And then you go up to the 13 by 19. For anything larger than that, I'm not going to be able to really give you as good advice, right? And honestly, everything I'm telling you is kind of generic advice. But those are the two main size printers that you can look at are uh, letter size and then 13 by 19. So a 13 by 19 print is, let's see. Give me a second. All right, so this this is a 13 by 19 print, right? And I added a white border. But the 13 by 19 print, I could fill this frame. I could use a polarizer on my camera right now. But I could fill this frame edge to edge with the photo. But I decided instead to, if you look closely, it looks like there's a beveled border in here, but there's not. I did that in post-processing. So it's not really beveled, although it's pretty convincing even in person. And then I added some information down here about this plant because they're going to tear this down soon. So I wanted to get a nice picture of it. Versus, where is, I haven't hung all my pictures yet, but versus say, this is the same print on an 8.5 by 11, right? So you can see the difference. This 8.5 by 11, 13 by 19. I recommend you get the 13 by 19. All right. And here's a piece of paper. You know, this is a 13 by 19 sheet, and they're not that expensive. Buying paper, right? And then this is my 13 by 19 printer. This is a Canon. This is a Canon P100. Here's a picture of Ellie. So if you want to do your own prints, I think a 13 by 19 printer will give you the most satisfaction. I do print a lot of 13 by, 11 by 8, 8.5 by 11. And usually, with some exceptions, right? Usually my 13 by or letter size prints go into a binder like this. I don't hang them on the wall. They're just not really big enough, you know. Um, so family prints, my dog, stuff around Alexandria. So I I like putting my 8.5 by 11 prints in here and printing and framing. And you can buy 13 by 19 frames so that the paper fits in there perfectly. And they're not that expensive, like $10 each or something, right? Um, that's where I would go. Now the printer itself, I would say when you buy a 13 by 19 photo printer, they're going to have like 8 ink cartridges. If you buy 8.5 by 11, you can buy the high-end 8 ink cartridge, but I don't recommend that. You can buy the 6 inks. They have 6 different colors. 6 ink photo printers. Epson and Canon make very good ones. The Epson ones, I would recommend the Epson. Okay, so let me show you a couple of Epson printers. There's a particular, yeah, the XP series. So the Epson XP series are very, very good photo printers. And Epson, this Clara Inks, the 6-color Clara ink system. If you want to just stick with 8.5 by 11, I would get an Epson XP. Very, very good printers for photo printing. The 6-color Clara ink system is excellent. And, I owned one for about 8 or 9 years, worked flawlessly. And I even bought generic ink for it eventually because it was just getting expensive. But if you want quality prints, the generic ink fades, by the way. So don't buy generic ink if you're serious about the longevity of your prints. Uh, just buy the OEM stuff. It's a little expensive, but it's worth it because you won't have to print them again because they faded. And this is very good. So any XP series printer that uses 6 colors, I bought one of these for my office stuff, but these are 4 colors and the color reproduction is okay. It's not as good as when I was using my Epson XP because I had the Epson XP printer. Finally, it wore out after 8 or 9 years, and I replaced it with a generic office Epson printer with the endless ink tanks. That saves a lot of money. Um, this is another really good. This now, if you want to save money on ink, you need to go with the Eco Tank. This is also a very, very good printer. It uses the same 6-color ink set. No, 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 no. My bad. My bad. Don't get this. Don't get this one. It's gonna sell for 600 bucks no matter what. They never go on sale. Let's see. I don't let me was this it? Blue, yellow, magenta, cyan? No, this will be fine for black and white prints because it's got 3 shades of black. But it's the color side. I mean, the ink set, yeah, this has 1 black and 4 colors. This Clara Photo HD ink is better for color. This other printer here, this will be great for black and white, but it only has a 3-color ink system. So it does make a difference. When I switched from my Epson XP printer to the Office printer that only uses 3 colors, I could see a dramatic difference in the color output. Okay, um, and there's some other benefits to getting the XP set that I'll talk about in a second. All right, so it looks like the Epson XP. Okay, so let's do 13 by 19 photo printer. Well, here's the frames. You can buy these frames for 13 by 19. Okay, these are the Office printers. That's a good black and white photo printer. The Pixma Pro series are always very good. And I'm gonna look down. That's a business printer. This is the printer that I have. This printer is excellent. They don't make it anymore. They've updated this. I think it's a Pro 300 out now. You can get 50 sheets for $59. That's a good deal. Here, this is I thought there's a 300S out now. Now let's look at this one here. This is an excellent printer. This puppy uses a lot of different kinds of ink. Um, yeah, 8 color. So don't get too hung up on dye-based, or I forget what the other one is called, but there's 2 different types of printing technologies. Doesn't really matter. What I look at is how many different types of colors, inks do they use. And the Canon 200S here for 600. These really don't go on sale much. Yeah, I'm looking at the 1-year history here, and yeah, don't count on these going on sale. The best way to get this printer, well, they you used to be able to like buy a camera and they'd give you the printer for free. That's kind of how I got mine in a roundabout way. Somebody else bought a camera and they gave him this printer free, a Pro 100, and he never opened it. So I bought it off of him for like 150 bucks. So I got a killer deal on a nice 13 by 19 printer. But yeah, these printers, okay, so the additional benefit of getting a real photo printer like the Epson XPs or this Canon Pixma Pro, any of the Canon Pixma uh, printers, whether it's the 13 by 19 or the 8.5 by 11, they have both sizes in this particular series. They're both very good printers, these 3 brands. But the difference is between this and an office printer, it's not just the color ink system, but it's also the color profiles. When you really get into printing and you start looking at different types of printer paper, um, a lot of times you have to match the printer output, the printer ink system to the kind of paper that you're using. And you'll be able to download, if it doesn't come with it, you'll be able to download specific profiles for different kinds of paper so that you get the best color reproduction possible depending on what kind of paper you're using. And they name the papers by brand. So if you want to really get into it, these photo printers have so many more options to give you the best output possible. Now, in practice, we keep it simple. Canon and Epson have already done all of the work for us. You just, when you go to print from Lightroom or whatever, you say, let the printer manage the colors. And the printer driver that comes with these color printers or photo printers, and then a lot of times if you buy a Canon printer, you can buy Canon paper, and they'll have that Canon paper profile already comes in the driver. So you just select the the paper profile, so you might say, luster, gloss, luster, right? Semi-gloss, whatever. Then the printer will automatically adjust the ink system to match that color, to match that paper, and you'll get the best reproduction possible. So, yeah, I mean, I think, and you don't have to do anything. Some people get really into the drivers and color profiles and calibrating everything. You can do all of that if you're really good at that stuff, but for the most part, a Canon Epson have already done the work, and you let the printer manage the color and the paper, and it'll print a beautiful, beautiful print. You don't have to do anything. So just keep it simple. But if you want to get into the weeds and all of that, you can with a photo printer. With an office printer, extremely rare. Like my Epson office printer here doesn't have different profiles for different types of paper stock. So I just use Epson paper or even generic. Sometimes I have buy generic paper, but usually I'll buy Epson glossy or semi-gloss and use it with my Epson printer, and the colors come out just fine on the office printer, but they're not as high quality in terms of just the visual. They just have a certain pop to it, the ones that have more color ink. So, uh, yeah, I can highly recommend this printer because it's very, very similar to the one I have, but it's just newer. I'm gonna give you my affiliate link to this one and the, Pixma Pro. So this is the Canon 200, and then the Epson XP 8800, that's a good printer. Okay, so that's everything I know about printing. If you wanna print larger than that, like with rolls and, uh 'cause some people like to print they buy rolls and they print these really wide panoramics. That's a little bit beyond what I've done myself. I'm not gonna give you any advice on that, but they do have printers like that, but the costs go up quite a bit. So just be conscious of that. I think the Pixma Pro will take a roll or longer paper or sheets, but I can't speak to that personally. Okay, there we go. Um, let's see. Rob, are there varying density of polarizers, meaning some light not as dense as some lighter? Yes. So when it comes to polarizers, you can find ones that have very thin frames. And then there's some that have thicker frames, right? The thicker frame ones, if they're a quality polarizer, the thicker frame ones are usually because they're combining the ND filter and polarizer in one. But if you want the thinnest frame possible, and particularly if you're going to be shooting wide angle with a polarizer, which I don't recommend, but if you shoot wide angle, like the 12 to 40 Pro can go to 12 millimeters, shooting wide angle with a polarizer, you want to make sure you have the thinnest frame possible because otherwise you'll get vignetting in the corners, which is okay, but is a problem because you can crop, right? You can crop the corners out just a few pixels in. But the problem becomes when you start doing panoramic stitching. That's when, if you have that strong vignetting in the corners, your panoramic stitching can get a little more difficult. You start to see that even with the exposure blending and everything Photoshop does, I can still see the seams sometimes because it didn't quite get that vignetting corrected enough. Uh, So what I'd have to do, it involves more processing. I'd have to crop everything before I send it over to the stitching software. And I don't like to do that. I like to send the raw images to the stitching software as raw as possible. But I'd have to do a little cropping in addition to the basic processing I would do before I send it to a stitcher. So with the longer focal lengths, say 25 to 40, let's say anything over 30 or 40 millimeters, you don't have to worry about the vignetting. Uh, you know, so you can use thicker polarizers with those kind of lenses. I found even at 25 millimeters, sometimes I get a little vignetting with the thicker polarizer. So I would try and get as thin a polarizer as possible, or but they're usually going to be polarizer only. They're not going to have that combination ND and polarizer filter effect. Okay, the polarizers, the in terms of density, if you're not referring to the actual thickness of the ring, if you're referring to maybe how much polarizing effect is happening, it's really each individual manufacturer, but there's a certain frequency that these polarizers sort of, they have spacing. This would be this would be like a variable ND filter. The polarizers have grooves in them, right? Or I forget what it's called, but it depends how thin or how wide the lines are, right? Where the light would pass through. So if they're very, very narrow, you're going to get a stronger polarizing effect as opposed to one that's spread out. But I think most of them pretty much use one particular frequency, or I don't know the exact terminology. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that part. I would worry more about the thickness of the frame. So some lighter, not as dense as others. Yeah, it's not really the density, or when you're talking about lighter, darker type of exposure because of the polarizers, it just depends on how much they space out the lines and what they're trying to filter. It's again, we're getting way beyond what I know about polarizers, but I do know that you can get them like in different wavelengths or something. I can't remember. Don't worry about it. Not on these low end filters. Maybe the Stingray has some white papers on their website that you could look into about that, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money and worry about it. I'm very content with sub $100 polarizers. Like I use typically $20, $30 polarizers, $10 ND filters, hard NDs. I'm going to review this filter. It's a combo polarizer variable ND from K&F. So I'm going to review that one. I'll up I'll get up to speed on polarizers and ND filters a little more in a couple of weeks. But right now, all I've looked at when I look at polarizers and ND filters is how many, the nano coatings and type of glass. Is it German quality optics? There's another type of glass, AGC glass. Um, I look at those kind of things, but these are very, uh, what do you call it? These are very basic things, right? This is not the kind of thing you're not, it's not going to answer the kind of question that you have right now. Okay. Adam says the landscape might be easier to fix with editing. Seeing into the water is not. Try a pair of polarized sunglasses in sunlight. It is the reason why fishermen like Yes, yes. So it does make the water sort of glossy and more transparent and darker. As you rotate it around, you'll see the difference. And it can make what I like, or what I let me rephrase that. What I've noticed is that it works really well when the water is very smooth, like glass. and also like on streams, like small streams and things where there's a lot of speculars in the water. Uh, those smaller streams and stuff, I found the polarizer does things, and also for like the speculars on leaves and things around flowers. Those things work really well. On larger landscapes, yeah, I like the effect on the sky and the effect on the water when the water's relatively smooth. When the water's kind of choppy, I didn't see much difference using polarizer. There's some subtle differences there, but at that point, because the water's all going in all different directions and scattering the light, the polarizer is not having the same effect. When more skilled, you know the difference in your work benefits from the better filters. Yes, absolutely, right? There's reasons filters cost way more. It's not because they're just trying to milk you for more money, but there's extra science that goes into the design of the filter or extra, processes that make the filter better than, say, a more generic filter. So definitely, it's not something I'm totally up to speed on because I've been keeping my filter purchasing in the sub $100 range. Add the polarizer to the variable ND, buy for your biggest filter thread, and use step rings when needed for smaller lenses. That is generally good advice. If I was buying a single Stingray $300 filter, I'm buying step rings. But for a lot of these filters that I'm recommending for, between 11 and $25, I would just buy the size for each lens, right? That I need. And I only need like 3 different sizes really, 62, 58, and 46. And I always buy one for my 25 millimeter, like, because what the advantage you get to, where is it? One of the advantages you get to buying the size that fits your lens perfectly, it was just, oh, here, the, is I can put the lens hood on with the filter behind it. Now I get the benefit of reducing glare via the lens hood in addition to reducing glare, direct glare coming in on hitting the lens, but also glare in the field of view at the same time. And I can just put this on, right, like this. So now I have the lens hood and the polarizer. And then if I want to adjust the polarizer, I just turn the lens hood. The other thing is, if you don't have like this lens hood, like this is the 25 millimeter Olympus lens, right? Um, I can put the original OEM lens hood on here and the polarizer inside. It just makes it a little harder to use. I have to turn the polarizer with my finger this way rather than when I had the lens hood on. So I buy these separately. Uh, so I buy this size, the 40, this is the 46, right? I buy 46 millimeter, is it? Yeah, 40, my dying eyes, 46 millimeter filters and 62 and sometimes 58 because I'm not spending a lot of money on them, and they work well. Yeah, that's happened to me once. I bought a wristband for one of my watches, and I didn't like it eventually. Something about the buckle. And they said, "We'll just credit you." And Jeffrey says, "Black mist, sometimes labeled pro mist filters, are handy for various purposes. Quarter, eighth, and half strength, similar to diffusion subler. The glass has speculars of carbon infused in the glass." Yeah, yeah. So there's somebody might ask, why would you ever put a diffusion filter on your lens? Don't you want your lens to be sharp? And yeah, like the example I gave with the portraits, I'd have probably benefit from putting one on. Because I just got that filter, and then the event was like shortly thereafter, so I didn't want to put it on until I had a better feel for exactly what it was going to do to my images. And after using it a few times, I was like, I should have brought it with me to that event. 15 Dinador black stockings stretched over the lens with rubber band works well for portraits of ladies. Oh, that's an interesting hack. I've seen that before. People put like pantyhose over their or stockings, right? Over their lens. Let's see. PNY makes decent cards. Yes, I agree. I think they make some of the best. And hello, Zoltan. Good to see you. And great tip in one of your vids to set shutter delay and anti-shock when doing live composites. Oh, okay. You're welcome. And Eric is here. Good to see you. Good morning. Is it windy out? It didn't look windy. It was windy yesterday, man. Let me tell you. Freezing my butt off over at Mount Vernon. And I have the Epson ET855 and really love the results of this printer up to 13 by 9. Oh, okay. So you have that printer we looked at. I also have the Canon Pro 100, which is over 10 years old. Cost of running the Pro 100 is way more in ink cost. So yeah, ink, those ink tanks, the only thing that gave me pause over the Epson one, the large one, was that it only had 3 colors. And I just lean towards more colors because I did notice a difference when I went from the but it was interesting that it had 3 different shades of black. So maybe that is offsetting that one color. Because ultimately, right, there's a couple of shades of pink or red, magenta. Maybe they're using one of the gray cartridges to offset that shade of magenta or whatever. It's all color science. It's over my head, but I appreciate the feedback, and you are definitely right. The ink cost, I've only had to buy ink once for my ET photo printer here, or not, my office printer. It was like $40. I think I paid $40 for like a set, and it'll last me another year and a half, 2 years. And that's with I wouldn't say regular printing, but when I print a lot. So, uh, but I know the Epson Pro is a really good photo printer. I've not used the ET850, 8550. And Marco is here. Good morning, Marco. And there's some lens stents in terms of light transmission. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to get up to speed on that so I know what I'm talking about. But I think again it goes back to sort of this the wavelength or frequency of the polarizing glass. Polarize can help increase the color reflection of sunset or sunrise onto water, the opposite effect of cutting reflection. So they are 2 tricks in one depending on the bent clips. What bent helps the scene? Okay. I found a great spot for doing sunsets on the water. I'll have to try it when it's not windy. Right now the water's too choppy. New place I've never been to before. I've driven by it a few times, but I've never stopped to take a picture. And KR is asking, not me, okay. What reasons you recommend a Panasonic Leica? Okay, so it's not a Panasonic Leica, it's just a regular Panasonic. Panasonic Lumix. Uh, the PL 1.7 or the 25 1.8, just price. Some have reported that it back focuses on Olympus cameras. or front focuses at f4, something weird. I've never experienced that problem myself, but it's mainly price, because you can get it for about half the price of an Olympus, and I didn't notice any difference in image quality. You do, and it's a little bigger, but it's a fine lens, nothing wrong with it. Aside from that one issue that many reported, so maybe do a Google search, like in the forums and things, about the Panasonic 25 1.7 and front focusing, and see if that's really a prevalent problem. Robin Wong reported it in one of his videos, and I've heard about it before in other forums and things, but I haven't thought about it for a long time because I've never had a problem with that lens. I tend to use my Olympus one because it's smaller, lighter, and just as sharp, if not sharper, but not perceivably sharper. I prefer the 25 because of the size, but it does cost more. So if you're on a budget, I wouldn't hesitate recommending the Panasonic 1.7, especially if you have a Panasonic body. But on Olympus bodies, maybe do a little research into that one issue before buying it, or just buy it from Amazon. It goes on sale all the time for like 150 bucks. And if you don't notice that issue, keep it. If it's a problem, then just return it. Okay. So that's if you're not ever, if not, are you ever would like to visit countries outside the US, possibly Europe and Asia? One day. I've been to Asia. Uh, you know, just a quick history for those of you that don't know. I'm not a big travel person. I don't like to leave the country. I did it once. I took like a month off and traveled all over East Asia. Loved it when I got there, for the most part. Very, very positive experience in the country I went to visit, or countries. I went to many. But it's the traveling part, the 20-hour flight, going through claims, going through customs, going through, dealing with just the weird differences sometimes bothered me. Like I didn't like the toilets. It's like two rocks on a ground. You gotta, just little things. To me, that's not a little thing. It just bothered me a lot. Not having running hot water sometimes, and taking cold showers in some of these more third world type countries. Definitely overall, very positive experience in visiting these other countries. But I don't want to do it again, you know. I'm not that excited. And places like Europe are very interesting. My mindset's changing a little bit as I'm getting a little older. Meaning, even just from 5 years ago, my mindset's changed a little bit about traveling. I don't even have a passport. Okay. People are shocked. I'm so adverse to traveling that people are shocked when I tell them I've never even taken a metro. Okay. I've never been on a metro train or any train for that matter. I haven't been on an airplane since 1999, the last time I traveled overseas. Yeah, 1999 was the last time I was on a plane. I traveled overseas. Uh, and train, never. I've been on a bus a couple times, but that was because I was at the airport and they had a bus that would take you from the parking lot to. I don't think I've ever been on a public bus transportation. Uh, at least not in the last 25, 30 years. If I did it when I was in college or something, maybe, but I can't remember that far back. Um, yeah, last time on a plane, never been on a train, never been on a bus, and didn't really like have a I had it was okay when I traveled, but it was just too different. The reason my mindset has changed a little bit is as I'm getting older, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out and experiencing what the world has to offer, right? I'm not worried about my safety or anything. You just look at the travel alerts and stuff. If uh, if it's safe, it's safe. If it's not, it's not. You can choose where you want to go. But I'm not worried about most places in Europe, if any, or even in Asia. A lot of places I'd be fine with. But my mindset's changing a little bit. So one of my goals this year is to get a passport. Because right now it's just off the table. I don't even have a passport to go overseas, right? So one of my goals this year is to get a passport, which is just filing some paperwork and spending a few bucks, right? And then it takes 2 or 3 months because I'm not in any rush. You can order a rush for $500 or something, but I'm not in any rush. I'm going to get a passport and then we'll see where it goes from there. Then we'll see if my opinion changes. Because not having a passport at all sort of makes it easy to say, I'm not going to travel. But if I have a passport, at that point, what excuse do I have? Well, then it becomes an issue of money, right? It's not cheap to travel. You go somewhere, it's a couple $1,000 minimum, minimum, but probably going to spend. Why did my, I don't know why my stream went out. Probably spend 3 to 5,000 between hotels, food, plane ticket, traveling while you're in the country, all of that. Then on top of that, if I make a trip as part of a photo club, right, like a workshop, add on another couple thousand. My friend just went to Costa Rica. She spent about $10,000 to go for a week as part of a photo thing with a group. I don't have that kind of scratch. I mean, I buy cameras and stuff, put it on my credit card, takes me a few years to pay it off. Took me almost 2 years to pay off my OM1 Mark II. This OM3 I'm buying, that's going to take me another couple of years, et cetera, et cetera. I'm still paying off that Pentax monochrome. I got about $600 left that I bought last year. I don't have 5 to 10 grand scratch to spend on a vacation. I'd rather go buy a Hasselblad and travel within my own country because the United States is so big. It's 3,000 miles across. You know what I mean? There's so much I haven't explored right here, the national parks, the different towns and cities that I haven't even done in my own country that I can do for a lot less money. I could probably travel the entire country for a couple $1,000, right? Spend maybe half of that on gas, the other half on food, and then maybe a little more for hotels. But you know, I would sleep in my car a lot actually to save money. So that's why I don't travel overseas and haven't had much desire. So all that combination of things is I wasn't thrilled when I went the last time back in 1999, and uh, it's expensive, and I haven't even looked at my own country yet and been to all the different beautiful places we have here. You put those three things together, like man, you know, that's why. That's why. So it's not that I don't have the desire. I wouldn't mind going, but there's just a lot of overhead with that. And plus, I wouldn't be able to take Ellie with me. That's a fourth thing. Then there's Ellie. There's just so many things keeping me from traveling. Uh, and it's been a huge it's been a huge detriment to my personal life uh, on another level because I'm not that I'm actively dating or anything, but a lot of women that I meet, they love to frickin' travel. And when I say I don't wanna travel, that pretty much ends it right there, right? So there's been sort of that as well, and I'm fine with that. I'm a happy-go-lucky single guy, I don't care. I can be single the rest of my life. I'm totally content with that, but, it's definitely been an issue that comes up when there has been any kind of spark or interest, then the topic of travel comes up. Yeah, that's it. That's totally it. Luckily, I'm at an age now where I don't have to talk about kids, right? Because in my younger days, when I was single, it's like I didn't wanna have kids. That was a deal breaker a lot of the times, right? Throw on top of that, I didn't wanna travel. Anyhow, okay, so, Zoltan, I hope that was a long answer for about me. I I I don't I try not to talk about me as much as I can. I can't help it though. Maybe I'm a little narcissistic, but all I'm scared about traveling is the food because I'm a very picky person. I don't care for street food. Oh, yeah, I don't mind the food. That was the best part of traveling was all the different kinds of food. Man, I have a pretty diverse palate. The only thing I tried that I didn't like that is stuck in my mind is starfish. I hate starfish. At least the way it was prepared when I had it. It was disgusting. I can't eat starfish. Okay. Marcus, get that passport, and next time one of the camera manufacturer offer you a trip, you'll be happy. It's only being in the air that's a bitch. Yeah, I know. That's the worst part is flying. Not a big fan. Especially there's been 4 air disasters here in the, US, one in Canada in the last 4 weeks. One of them pretty major. Well, they're all major, but I'm just saying that doesn't help. And once you're at your destination, you'll appreciate, yeah. Like I said, I didn't have a bad time once I was there. The one thing that really bothered me is we're flying into Singapore and the lady starts handing out these little cards before we land, right? Because the pilot says, fasten your seatbelts, we're landing. And as we approach, she's handing out these little cards, and I read this card, and it says, if you have any kind of drug or paraphernalia on you, right? Especially if even if it's a prescription drug and you don't have the prescription with you. If you have any kind of drugs, right? Narcotics, etc. Penalty by caning or death or life imprisonment. Like some crazy like I was like, what the hell? I mean, I didn't have anything on me, but I'm like, it'd been nice to get this card before I got on the frickin' plane because you always hear these stories about these drug dealers stuffing passenger bags with their stuff, and then you get caught with it, and you had no idea it's not yours. Somebody else put it in there, and they were going to rip it off you later, right? Or somebody in baggage claims stuffs it in there for the dealer, and the dealer goes to the baggage claim area and takes, Anyway, all these things go through your head. Never mind, you're sleeping at a hotel and you wake up with no kidney, right? All those stories, especially in Asia, yeah, don't sleep in some dive hotel. Anyhow, uh, all these things go through your mind, right? And if you get arrested, that's it. You're out. The corruption in some countries is so outrageous. I landed in one country, and they're like, if you get pulled over, make sure you have a couple $100 on you. and you can leave. If not, you might go to jail for nothing. I'm like, well, thank you, Lao Da, for telling me that. His name was Lao Da or something. Uh, there's these little things. So yeah. Um, now that see, now I'm talking myself out of ever traveling again because I start thinking about these stories and the very minor negative experience. I wouldn't call them deal breakers, but it helps to know somebody native to wherever you're visiting that can watch out for you and tell you what to do and what not to do. Don't just go to a country blind, not knowing anybody or being with somebody that's been there before and knows what to do, right? Like in a group. Okay. Yeah, time to get a new one. Yeah, mine expired at least 15 years ago. It's been 25 years. My passport probably expired in early 2000s, so it's been 20 years. Or do what Lee Hoy does, organize a photo trip and have the participants, students pay. Yeah. Yeah, that's very common, right? And I've been offered by people that they would pay for all my expenses if I went to XYZ planet with them. I'm like, I don't know. And then Anthony said, I'd like to buy you 100 to 400 lens sports. I'd like to buy the one, not buy me, but buy the 100 to 400 sports photography lens. I'd like to get the best deal possible on a used or new lens. Can you show me where I can get one for a good price? Yes. I would just, I would check two places, eBay, of course, and Hunt's Photo. If you're in the United States, Hunt's Photo and eBay. Hunt's Photo, you have to call them and ask, do you have this lens used in good condition? You usually get a really good deal. The other one is eBay, of course. And eBay, I've talked about this in other streams, but generally speaking, you want to look for sellers that have a top rated plus rating. So, um, let's see, I'm still looking at Panasonics. Got all these. Look at this one. This one sold for $1,000. I missed this one. But I got an OM3 coming, so my gas for this is kind of tempered a bit. But let me see. Olympus 100 to 400. Yeah, I would buy this one right now. Good refurbished. $668. I'm gonna give you a link to this one. No question. Uh, did that go in? Yeah. Okay. I trust this company, and if we go back, they have this top rated plus rating. They have a very high. This when you have a top rated plus rating on eBay, that is a huge deal for a seller to have this. If they don't take care of any problems you have with your purchase, they could lose that top rated plus rating pretty easily. And when you have a top rated plus rating on eBay as a seller, you get special privileges, but more specifically, you get a discount on how much percentage you have to pay to eBay. So, like right now, if you just go in and put something on eBay, you're going to pay 10%, right? Right off the top to eBay. Another 3% in transaction fees. So you're paying 13, 14% to eBay to sell something. When you have a top rated plus status, you might be paying 4%. 3%. You might be paying a much lower percentage than the standard rate that everybody else pays. But if you lose that top rated status and you got 100 items selling on eBay at the moment, like I'm sure Robert's camera has like 100 things right now. All of a sudden, they're not paying 4% on 100 items, they're paying 10%. You see where I'm going? So they have a huge financial incentive to make sure that you're satisfied with your purchase. Not just your purchase, but every single sale that they make going forward can be seriously affected by a negative, seriously affected by one unhappy customer. So I would look for that. That's a pretty good deal. So why is it so cheap? Let me look at the description. Light internal debris, general cosmetic wear, fully tested, 6-month. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. The debris they're talking about, that's just dust, right? This lens looks really good. Heck, I might buy it. It's really good. The other place I mentioned was Hunt's Camera. So it's Hunt's Photo and Video. I don't have any affiliate link for this one, but there's the link. They have a used lenses and filter, but they don't list everything here. Here's 100 to 400. But they're also very, very good. And depending where you live, you may not have to pay sales tax. So ultimately, this will cost about the same price. Uh, that's a little bit pricey, but sometimes they have deals. They'll give like 10% off. So you might be able to negotiate with them on over the phone for this lens. Those are the two places I recommend is Robert's Camera or any dealer that's rated top rated plus. If you want to buy from Japan, Map Camera is very good. Um, let's see if Map Camera has any. Yeah, Map Camera has one, but yeah, they're asking 846. This is a very good place from Japan, so it doesn't look like the deal here is as good as the one from Robert's Camera. I've bought from Map Camera, and they've been excellent. Okay, let's see what else we got. And Mad Maddie says, "Hi Rob, I'm actually from Singapore. Our country is known to be a really strict country, and our crime rates are really low, so it's pretty safe here. Just remember not to bring illegal stuff." Yeah, I know. I don't think I would on purpose, but just it shocked me when I got that card on the plane, and I'm like, "We're about to fricking land." I would have liked to got this card before, and I would have been a little more conscious of what's going on with my baggage and stuff, right? Okay. Uh, yeah, things are strict, man. You hear crazy stories like if you're chewing gum, they arrest you. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the kind of reputation Singapore has here in the US. It's like, yeah, be careful in Singapore, man. Don't chew gum in Singapore. Don't do it. Um, my brother was a dive master, set up scuba trips to Hawaii and elsewhere, paid for by participants. Yeah. Yeah, that's the life, right? That's living the dream. There are people here in the US, like in Florida, that I've run into that do uh, workshops in Florida. And yeah, they're living a good life. I'm not saying they're super wealthy or anything, but just going out and doing what you love every day, watching other people and helping other people do what they love in an amazing place for birding and wildlife in Florida and making a few bucks doing it. That's living the dream, in my opinion. And Mad Matt says, I recently got the M Mark II with a 14-42 kit lens as my first camera. I've been learning lots from your videos. I love taking street nature portraits. Any recommendation for a second lens? The 40 to 150 kit lens. You can get them used for $99. Typically, you can buy them new for 149 to 200. But try to get it at the sale price. There's one on eBay actually. Well, you're in Singapore, so it doesn't help, but it doesn't help you for me to show you a US link. But let me show you a picture of the lens. This lens here. Uh, this is another really good one. You got to get this lens. I highly recommend this. You will not. I still use mine all the time, even professionally. It's such a good lens, and it's so cheap. So cheap. God, Roberts seems to have 8% off everything today. I'm gonna have to shop today. Some eBay stuff. All right. And if you get some extension tubes, you can use those with the 40 to 150. I got some videos on that. It's excellent. Excellent lens. That's what I would recommend. All right. Let's go to, I know I missed a lot of chats here. Let me go down the list here. Zoltan says, I have the 25 1.7. I don't have any focusing problems. Okay, good. Good to know. Yeah, I haven't either, but some people are saying they do. And then Crate says, we will be OM3 buddies. That's right. Can't wait. I can't wait. Another week or so. I'm going to get my own copy. I love having use of this for now, but I can't wait to get my very own. It's different, right? Like driving somebody else's Porsche. It's like it's a lot of fun, but it's not the same as if it's yours. Ugh. Oh, this food. Yep, we saw that one. And you're at your destination. Okay, we just did that one. If you want to come to Europe next year, if you come along, you can. Oh, thank you, Zoltan. I appreciate that. Budapest, right in the heart of Europe, central and close to all the EU countries. That's the thing about the EU. It feels like you can drive a few hours in any direction and you're in a different country. And it's amazing all the different landscapes and things. So once I get a passport, I'll start thinking about it more seriously about going somewhere. I mean, you could fly from Dulles straight to Europe, round trip, under a grand guarantee. Yeah. See, now you're talking my language. So the only variable at this point is Ellie, right? What am I going to do with Ellie? Nobody in my family will watch her. My nephew might. I could let him live at my house, and he might be willing to live here for a week or whatever. Like I said, until I get a passport, I can't think about it too seriously, but I appreciate that. That would be a lot of fun, though. I'm a very adventurous eater. We'll try anything once. Yeah. Yeah, you and I are very similar, Marco. We're like brothers from another mother, I think. I like to think anyway. And the Gray Vanzini, good morning. I'm looking for a deal and I don't even know what for. Yeah. Uh, get that fanny pack or for $3.49. Seriously, man. That fanny pack. I mean, if I need to order some, like, I need to order some more Prel, and a bottle of shampoo is like $6. So, Prel. If you guys have not tried Prel shampoo, you guys are missing out. Oh, wow, 356. That's a good deal. What size? 13? This the one I bought before? Yeah, May. Wow, I've stretched this out. But the reason is Prel, Prel, you only need a little drop for the little bit of hair I got. You just need a little drop, man, and that thing lathers up like crazy. And it smells so good. I love the smell of Prel. So I'm gonna add this to my cart. And then where's that fanny pack? This fanny pack. I'm definitely getting that. Okay. Uh that's my shopping for today. So for $7, I'm getting a bottle of Prel and a fanny pack. For $7.05 is what my cart subtotal is, and it'll be here tomorrow. I mean, I just spent like $50 on gas yesterday. Ugh. You need to get a real ID by May 25th. I have a real ID. Yeah. Yeah, I have one. I'm about 99% sure. I'll double check. You got me questioning now, but I think I have one. Let's see. Thanks, Rob, for your printer advice, and it's good to know about you. Be well. Oh, thank you, Keith. uh, okay. You truly deserve your new OM3 camera. You should get one from OM System for all the great work you do promoting the brand. Yeah, but I think that argument can be made for Robin Wong, Peter Forsgard. You know, uh, why don't they just get free OM System cameras? They've done a lot of great work in the past for Olympus OM Systems, Jimmy Chang, you know, um, and others. So yeah, while I would, it would be great if they sent me one. I don't expect it, and I wouldn't want to be the only one. I would want all of my peers, name the ones that I mentioned, should get one too. But I doubt it's going to happen, and it's okay. It's not necessary. Uh, you know, some and there's others like Emily Taupin. She's a little bit more recent, and Lee Hoy. He's been shooting Olympus a long time and running workshops and things. So there's a lot of people out there that I think deserve a camera. Oh, I don't need conditioner. I use I put that on I add a little bit of oils to my hair after I shower. So I don't need conditioner. And Anthony says, thank you for your help on finding 100/400. So glad OM3 isn't a camera I want, but now gas is for a lens. Does it ever end? No, it never ends. What tempers it though are these little $3, $5 items every now and then. You get those in and you're good. You're good. And then by the end of the year, you're out maybe a couple $100, but you're not out with like 20 different cameras like I got. And Robin and Peter do not promote OM system cameras. Olympus back in the day, but certainly not OM systems. Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, to an extent, Peter definitely does not. Robin Robin talks about them time to time. So uh, it's on his radar in his YouTube, but I am a little bit more proactive in promoting OM systems, right? I think because I'm a huge fan, and so is Robin. Robin's a pretty big fan, but I don't know. I think the work they've done in the past, if we're talking about past work that's built up to a point to where OM systems can even exist, right? Because they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for all the support that we gave Olympus. If you want to look at it indirectly, I don't want to take too much credit. There's so many people at OM Systems and Olympus that work hard that uh, I think they did a lot of work on the OM3. It's not just a repackaging. Uh, that's me. Robin hates the OM1. Yeah, he's not a fan, I know. But that's how he feels, and he's right. He's entitled to his opinion. And I just caught that this morning, actually. Mm, His OM3, or was it last night, late last night? But anyway, I just watched it. Yeah, he did a good job. I thought it was pretty reasonable. He's pretty much expressed the sentiment of on the negatives. On the negatives, he pretty much expressed all the sentiments of what's negative and what's positive, right? Every- I I I didn't disagree with anything he said. I think he pretty much gave a nice summarization of the sentiment that I'm seeing and hearing online. That said, I don't think the price point is going to be as big of objection to most people as some people are making it out to be. Because there are some people on fire about the pricing. They're like, no way, no way. But I think honestly, I feel like they're more in the minority, and we'll see what the market bears out. Because when I show people the camera, when I show them to other Olympus Home System users, they're very happy with their OM1, and they don't see any reason to spend $2,000 on an OM3, right? No grip, no dual card slot, et cetera. And the nostalgia appeal not there. They don't care what the camera looks like. I showed it to some Sony users and Canon users. Their remarks were, "Oh, it's very light." No comment about the design style. They just thought it was very light and a nice little camera. No interest to buy it though, right? I didn't even tell them the price. They weren't interested. They shoot Canon, they shoot Sony. However, when I walked around, I was out yesterday, two people commented about the camera. I didn't get the impression they were photographers. They were just because they didn't have cameras on them. If you're at an event like I was at yesterday and you're a photographer, you're bringing a camera. Okay. So these were people that didn't have cameras. One person was actually someone that worked there. And he's like, that is a really cool camera. It's so vintage looking, and yet it's got all the modern stuff. Because he saw me with the flip screen, right? He said, "That is so cool." He was just really giddy about it. And another person I ran into said, "Wow, is that film camera?" And I said, "No, no, it's digital." And I'm like, "That is really nice. I haven't seen camera like," so because they had asked me, "Are you shooting film?" And I said, "No, no, I'm shooting." So the general public, people that noticed my camera, seemed very excited about it and really liked the look of it. And you know, people that are already in an ecosystem, Sony, Canon, I feel like, or even Nikon, pretty much they didn't care. They thought it was nice, but they liked their cameras. Just like the OM system people with the OM1s, they liked their camera. And the nostalgia didn't appeal to them. And then there's people like me and Marco and many of you here that love the OM3 for its design, styling, no compromise on the features. and, it's relatively small, lightweight camera. Just love it, and the $2,000 price point is fair. Yeah, we all want a deal, but I'd rather get it now. I don't mind paying full price now and enjoying the camera for the next 3, 6, 8, maybe a year before they start discounting it, right? Maybe Black Friday, there'll be a huge discount, or maybe I'll buy a second one, I don't know, but we don't know. We don't know what the future is gonna hold. It might be sold out and people are gonna be asking double the price, like the X106 or whatever. That's the feedback I'm getting, and, feel like I feel like the people that are really harping on the price are more in the minority. I could be totally wrong. There's a survey on the mu43forum.com where people are willing to pay $1,500 for it was the majority. I feel like definitely a lot more OM Systems Olympus users would buy the camera at 1,500, but I don't know how much effect that would have on people buying this camera, buying OM Systems or a camera for the first time. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out, I think. Okay. And oh, Pete, you ordered an OM1 Mark II. Amazing. Or congratulations, I should say. That really is a great camera. Uh, and it's better in every way than an OM3. It's just not the same style, right? What you want to get for your OM1 Mark II is that memory card I talked about. So you want to get 2 of these. You can see I've bought this 3 times now, in addition to many other V60 cards, but this has been the best deal by far. This deal right here. Get a couple of these to put in your camera, and that camera will fly. It'll fly. Okay, and let's see. Too many reviewers sounded like salespeople. Yeah, I mean, I watched as many as I can, and I really love the positive feedback that many of them gave, and it could seem like very sales pitchy to a lot of us, but I'm pretty content with the reviews. It seems like most people really like the camera that tried it, even people that aren't like regular Micro Four Thirds people. Uh, I'm very happy to see that. But I don't know if OM Systems paid some of them or not. They certainly didn't pay me, but I'm fine with that. I'm happy to just use the camera. But I think overall the feedback has been very, very good on this camera pre-launch. We'll see when it launches what the sales are like. I'm curious how the pre-orders are going. I don't know if there's any news on that or not, but I would imagine the pre-orders are really good. Next time when I go to my camera store to pick up mine, I'll ask them, "How are the pre-orders? Are they really strong or, you know, did you order more than you're gonna sell?" I'm curious to see because the market here is a little bit different, but it's probably fairly representative of how it's gonna be around the country. It's a pretty dense market here, DC metro area. So if there's not enough demand here, that would be a problem, I think, nationwide because we have so many people here. It's very densely populated. It's not dense as like New York City, but this area is pretty densely populated. I mean, within like 6 square miles, there's over 1 million people uh, in terms of population, and that's just one county. The county I live in has about 1 million people, and there's at least 8 or 9 counties right around this area. Uh, but we're talking million. I don't know what the population of the whole DC metro area, but it's in the millions. And if one camera store cannot sell out their pre-orders, that would be a little concerning to me. So I'll be curious to see. And inflation adjusted, the Pen F would be 1600 US. The OM3 is much closer to the flagship camera than the Pen F as was the yes. So, like I said, that's why I say the pricing is fair, considering where it's placed between the OM5 and the OM1 Mark II. At retail price, the OM3 is $400 below the price of the OM1 Mark II, and it's virtually the same camera. Yeah, there's some corners cut in features, but there's a huge bump in style, and so it's a trade-off. But you save $400 in the process. Now, right now, it's on sale. The OM1 Mark II is on sale for the same price as the launch of the OM3. And I think the more I think about it, I think that was a pretty smart move because a lot of people are saying, why would OM Systems want to eat into the sales of the OM3 by selling the OM1 Mark II at the same price? And I'm like, the OM3 really kind of stands alone. People buying the OM1 Mark II are not necessarily interested in a camera like the OM3. So it doesn't matter what the price is, right? And people buying the OM3, vice versa, are probably not that interested in OM1 Mark II. So it doesn't matter what the price is. I think these cameras are so different that they're not really stepping on each other's feet. But there's always the potential for somebody to be interested in both, like myself. I got an OM1. I want the OM3, right? I want both. So I think it was a pretty smart move. Now, Marcus, I was originally going to wait for the first sale of the OM3, but decided to take my own advice and enjoy it for as long as possible, worth a couple $100. Yeah, I'm with you on that, right? I mean, you've played a big part in my decision making, and like life is short, man. If it's going to bring you some joy, just get it. Why wait? We don't know how long we're going to be here. I mean, don't do it at the expense of your family or basic necessities of life, obviously. All those caveats aside, if it's something you can get, within your means, just get it. And Zoltan says, "Yay, OM system survive and OM3 is gorgeous. I heard people switched over from full frame to micro four thirds because of the OM3 and the capability and lens selection for nature." Really? That's awesome. I haven't heard or seen that myself directly. I've told you what I've seen and heard, but not that specifically. And thanks, Rob. Great to get a mention. Sure, Pete. Now I can't remember what it was about, but I always want this to be about. Uh, oh, this is the about the memory cards. Yeah, those are great. Those are great cards, and you'll easily get 3,000 shots or more per card. So if you're out doing a lot of pro capture stuff, you're going to need a 256 gig card. And Hope OMS will make good on their announcement for the OM1 Mark I firmware update for North America in the fall. They came out with 1.7, so I think they did make good on it. I don't know if there was something missing in 1.7 that they were promising that wasn't in 1.7. Because my OM1 Mark II is primarily a work camera, and I do birding with it occasionally, but it's primarily work. So it does everything I need it to, firmware or not. I think after firmware 1.3, I haven't really noticed any difference in my workflow. And I'm up to firmware 1.6 now. So going to 1.7 may make a difference in my birding, but for the most part, I haven't updated yet to firmware 1.7. I might do that today. I got some other things I got to do. I got some insurance problems, not personal, but The insurance company is canceling the homeowner's insurance on my house because it's just, for whatever reason, they're pulling out of the market here. I have to find new homeowner's insurance, like in the next week. The good news is the quotes I'm getting are cheaper than what I'm paying now. So it's a good thing they're leaving because I'm paying too much. And Marco says, my local camera store pre-sold 3 this weekend. By the time I got there in the mid-afternoon while OM system rep, oh, nice. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. I met Mike Amico, the guy that recently did a video with Ben. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know he did a video with Ben. Did I? Can't remember. I have to go back to his channel and see if I watched that or not. I watched his one about OM3 with the lenses and some other one, but I didn't see one with Mike there. Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Hopefully you were able to use my links. If not, either way, they're great memory cards. Uh, and Zali, so OM3 is truly great and good looking camera. Mr. Maitani would be proud of the design. I think so. That's a really nice way to put it or look at it. Maitani would definitely approve, I think. Okay. Let me just close some tabs down before my computer crashes. I'm so old school. I remember the days you would have like 2, Chrome tabs open and your computer would crash. I'm exaggerating, but yeah. Okay. Rob, I speak fluent English, Hungarian, mediocre German, and Romanian language, but I can pick up on Russian faster because I learned it 4 years ago in school and I know the Cyrillic alphabet. Wow. That's impressive. That's pretty impressive. I would love to learn a second language. I just don't have the discipline to do it. I'm so into photography now. It's like there's so many things in photography I want to do. I'm like, why would I, if I'm going to take my time to learn something new, I'll do it on my camera. But yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Sultan. That's not a small feat to know all these different languages. Okay, I think I got all the oh, this is from Singapore. They fine you for owning tuning. Ha! So it's true. It's true. Don't chew gum in Singapore. Man. I mean, I'm not a big gum chewer anyway, but I knew it. Oh, looks like I got caught up here on the chat. Let's see. Gary says, I've just purchased the Olympus 45 1.8 for my own 10 Mark II. Have you got this lens and what's your thoughts? That lens is awesome. I do have this lens. The copy that I have, and I think this is generally true, is the tiniest bit soft at wide open at 1.8, which is, if you're doing portraits, is desirable. You won't notice it. Um, and it's such a small lens, tiny, compact, lightweight. You won't even know it's on your camera. Let me see if I can pull up. I'm going to show you an example here. Okay. So here's some of my 45 millimeter shots. Here's a portrait. This was at f2. So if you want to do portraits, I'm starting with this because this is typically a portrait lens. I think it's beautiful, and you get that nice soft background if you want it. and it's tack sharp. No problem at all. I can see every frickin' pore. And this is at f2, so basically wide open. This image here, this is Ellie. I'm at 1.8, and then if you punch in, really, really fine detail. So when I say it's just a tiny bit soft, of course, these are post-processed, and I've done a little sharpening in post. But that shows you how good this lens is, really. And so let me give you, I'm going to put this link in just to give you a start. But once you go to my Flickr page, let's see what albums. I have an album here. I have a lot more 45 millimeter pictures, but I just started this album, so I need to start adding things. Here's a close-up shot. Look at the detail. This one I'm probably stopped down a little. Let's see. Oh, I'm at f2.8, so I'm stopped down a little. At f2.8, this lens is razor sharp. I mean, razor sharp. And I shot this with the EM1 Mark II, okay? Let's see, this one I shot with, this is with the EM5 Mark II, so the same 16 megapixel sensor as the EM10 Mark II. This is a two-shot pano. I took two pictures and stitched them together, but look how gorgeous the rendering is from this lens. So you got an excellent lens, long story short. This is a single shot, this is not the pano. And I believe this is wide open. Yeah, this is at 1.8. But even from this distance, right, you can see how nice the transition from what's in focus to out of focus all the way in the back. So look how beautiful this tree is and the car. But then there's just this really nice transition and softness everywhere that's outside of the focal plane. So I love, love, love this lens. You know, it's one of their best lenses. Let's see what this one is. This one is the 45. This is wide open at 1.8. Again, I did post-process this with sharpening. But so what? I mean, look at that. It's gorgeous. So congrats on that lens. You're gonna love it. And the 40, wow, that's a tough one to start out with, but it's a good one. Um, let's see. And don't forget the thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Zoltan said, I'm so happy for you, Rob Trek, and I would like to say congrats on your new camera. Enjoy it as much as you please. And in a few years after the price comes down, I'll be following you and buy one also. Awesome. Thank you. Uh, any opinions on the G9 Mark II versus the OM1 AF performance? One at 4K 120 from the Mark II. I've never used the G9 Mark II. My impressions from Emily at Micro Four Nerds was that for birds in flight, and by extension, the subject detect autofocus, but specifically birds in flight is what she talked about, was better on the OM1 Mark II than the G9 Mark II. Now, if we're not talking about subject detection, birds in flight, I don't know. I haven't used the G9 Mark II, so I can't really give any feedback, but I think they're both very competent cameras, and you'll be fine with either one. And you wanted the 4K 120 from the Mark II. So, uh, I have a sample on my Flickr page of the 4K 120. I'm not really a big video guy. Ironically, I'm a YouTuber, but I hate video. I don't hate it, but I don't like to do it. let's see. Here on my Flickr page, this is this is four this is full HD. Okay, the G9 Mark II has the 4K 120. So what I would say is if you want 4K 120, just get the G9 Mark II. There's no reason to buy the OM1 Mark II because the autofocus might be better. I don't think it'll be significantly better, not in a meaningful way. There's probably going to be situations where someone can show the G9 Mark II is better. In another situation, the OM1 Mark II is better. But overall, it's going to be the same. I wouldn't hold back. I wouldn't make the decision based on autofocus. Make the decision based on the feature set that you want. And if you want 4K 120, G9 Mark II makes the most sense. And Zoltan says, I don't think 2K is too much for the OM3. It's worth every penny it's cost. I agree. I agree it's worth it. But there's a lot of subjective or emotional sort of value in that pricing for me. It's worth it to me because of the emotional response that I get when I look at that camera. So if you want to be totally subjective, or I'm sorry, totally objective about it, the Home 1 Mark II is a better camera for the same price right now. But we're not talking about just objective things, right? We're talking about subjective. How does the camera make you feel when you use it and when you look at it? Is it going to inspire you to go out and take more photography? There's so many things, right? That's built into the value of a camera other than just specs, in my opinion. And the OM1 II is way more comfortable to use, so the G9 II is massive. Yeah. I've heard the same thing, and I would tend to agree. The OM1 Mark II is amazing. Hold in the hand. Uh, so comfortable. Now, I used to have a Panasonic S5, which is very similar to the G9 Mark II. They said there's been some changes. I've never held a G9 Mark II. Uh, but for me, the All-in-One Mark II is way more comfortable than my Panasonic S5. But there are a lot of people, they're fine with the ergonomics of the G9 Mark II. So, and I don't think that should be a major factor between the two cameras, the ergonomics, when you're looking for a specific feature set. I think OM should give you one for appreciation for your support and advertising of the brand. Common OM system send. Oh, I appreciate that. Uh, it's the sentiment behind its look. Yeah, classic and retro. I agree. And oh, Marco has some feedback between the two, so I appreciate that, Marco. Um, Marco said I should use it more for video, but I'm just so used to my own gear. Yeah, and I haven't found for even for my when I haven't had a video job in a year, but my last video job, the OM1 performed just fine. Um, but okay, why don't we call it here, guys? Unless anyone has any other questions. I mean, I got. Oh, hold on. Hello, hello. Oh, crap. Hello. I accidentally hung up on them. I have to call them back. That's kind of an important call. Uh, but okay, yeah, I'm gonna call it here. I need to call this person back and Thank you so much for coming in today. It's great chatting with everyone. I always have a good time when I come out, and hopefully, you'll find some of the deals, some good deals today with me. And it's always a lot of fun to talk about new M3 or cameras in general. I just love talking about cameras. And you guys are always there for me. I'll try to be there for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.